The Tuam babies, Ireland's hidden chamber of horror. In a quiet town in Western Ireland, beneath the surface of what once was a concrete-covered garden, lay a secret buried for nearly a century. A mass grave. Nearly 800 children, infants and toddlers, discarded not in coffins, not in memorials, but in the remnants of a former sewage system. This is not the setting of a horror novel. This is Tuam, County Galway. And this is the true legacy of the Bon Secours mother and baby home. The discovery. In 2014, local historian Catherine Corliss unearthed what the Irish state, the Catholic Church, and society had ignored for decades. While researching the history of the Bon Secours mother and baby home, Corliss came across death certificates for 796 children who had died in the institution between 1925 and 1961. Of those 796, only 2 had burial records. Where were the others? Corliss' relentless search led her to a chilling conclusion: the missing bodies were likely buried in a disused septic tank on the grounds of the former home. Her suspicion was tragically confirmed when excavation efforts revealed underground chambers filled with human remains, many no older than 3 years old. Who were these children? They were the sons and daughters of fallen women, unmarried mothers condemned by Irish society and imprisoned by the Catholic Church. At the time, sex outside of marriage was considered a mortal sin. Pregnancy without a husband was a stain on the family. The answer? Ship the young woman off to one of the many mother and baby homes scattered across Ireland. Tuam was one such place. Run by the Bon Secours sisters, a Catholic religious order, it operated from 1925 to 1961. It was meant to be a refuge. In truth, it was a prison. Women were forced to labor without pay. Their babies were taken away from them, some adopted, often sold, to families in the U.S. Others died, neglected, malnourished, and forgotten. The infant mortality rate in Tuam was staggering, nearly 5 times the national average. Causes of death ranged from pneumonia and tuberculosis to malnutrition and gastroenteritis. Corliss believes the conditions and neglect inside the home directly contributed to the deaths. The septic tank grave. The most horrifying aspect wasn't just the deaths, but the burial. These innocent lives weren't given headstones or last rites. Their remains were dumped into what had once been a concrete septic system. A tank. A sewer. That's where these children were sent. In 2017, the Irish government's excavation confirmed what Corliss had uncovered. Significant quantities of human remains were found in 17 out of 20 underground chambers beneath the former home. Some of the skeletons were as young as 35 weeks gestation. The vast majority were under 3 years old. Society's shame and the Church's silence. What kind of society allows this? Tuam was not an isolated incident. Ireland operated at least 18 similar homes between 1922 and 1998. It is estimated that 9,000 children died in these institutions. Their mothers were shamed, imprisoned, and robbed of dignity, often never seeing their children again. The Catholic Church ran most of these homes with the full cooperation and silence of the Irish state. The Bon Secours order has never taken full responsibility. In fact, in the early days following the discovery, they offered no apology. No acknowledgement. No compassion. And the Irish government? It offered words. In 2017, then Taoiseach Kenny called Tuam a chamber of horrors. But justice? Accountability? To this day, no religious figure or government official has been criminally prosecuted for what happened in Tuam. Their voices still crying. Corliss, who is not a journalist or activist by profession, said she simply wanted to know the truth. Her work exposed one of the darkest chapters of modern Irish history. And it broke the national silence. Many survivors, both mothers and adoptees, are still searching for answers, for siblings, for children taken and sold. Some demand DNA testing. Others just want to know where their brother or sister was buried. In 2021, Ireland's Commission of Investigation into Mother and Baby Homes acknowledged the inhumane treatment of women and children. But many criticized the report for downplaying the Church's role and failing to recommend legal action. A wound that hasn't healed. Tuam is a scar, but not just on Ireland. It is a scar on humanity. It's a testament to how institutions, especially when protected by religious power and state complicity, can become engines of cruelty. How society can look away when the victims are women and children, hidden behind walls. And how a single historian, armed with nothing but determination and conscience, can bring the dead back to light. Conclusion: we remember 796 children. 796 stolen futures. They were not mistakes. They were not sins. They were human beings, thrown away, because a church declared them illegitimate, and a country believed it. Let Tuam never be forgotten. Let the church never be allowed to erase their names. And let justice, however long overdue, finally arrive. Because history, when buried, will eventually rise, like voices from a forgotten grave, demanding to be heard. Written in memory of the Tuam babies. And in honor of every mother, silenced by shame.